Okay, so let's continue. Fine. Now we have a chart like this. I'll explain you definitely how to create it. But a chart like this is called a football field. Okay, now a football field is generally used, okay, when we want to represent the data, the minimum and maximum of a data, right? So say for example, and this is generally I've seen it been used for this particular case only, wherein we have created the value of a company using various valuation methodology like P by E or price by book value or price by EV by EBITDA or DCF. Okay, and so we have the value for different years, 2000 value based on 2010, 11, 12, etc. So in that case, I want to show what is the minimum value as per P by E and what is the maximum value as per P by E. So we create a something like this, which is called a football field. Okay, the reason it's given this name is because, as you can see, it looks like a football field, a rectangular field wherein different players are standing. Okay, so that's where I guess it got its name from. It's just a guess. Anyway, that's not important. What's important is how to create this football field. I've taken a very small example where we have data only for 3 years. Okay, but just imagine a scenario where you have the data for 10 years or 20 years. Okay, in that case, it will not be possible to um, do what we are doing in this case. Means it will have to do it the way we are doing rather than calculating the values manually, creating a table and then using this to create the chart. So let's understand what we are doing here. Okay. Okay, so first of all, we create another table. Okay, a table which we'll be using for creating this chart readily. So what I do is I create a table wherein I calculate the minimum, the maximum and the difference, okay, of this entire value. Okay, so first of all I use the function minimum. Okay, let me just delete this table and recreate it so that it's easier to understand. So what I do is I create first of all I'll copy this parameters as is. Okay, then I calculate the minimum of this value. Okay, I calculate the maximum of this value. Again, now this is what I was talking about, that since here it's only 3 data, it's easy to visually calculate the mean and max. Okay, but just imagine a situation where the data is much more. Okay, when you have 20-30 columns or rows of data, then it will be useful to use this formula for calculating the mean, max and the difference. And I calculate the difference, which is nothing but maximum minus minimum. Okay, I can just copy paste this data for the rest of the parameters. Sorry. Fine. Okay, now let's see how to create a chart like this. Let me delete this one. Okay, fine. So first thing what I do is I select this entire table. Okay, you see that since my first column doesn't have an heading, it will recognize it as for the excess part. Okay, and I go and create a bar chart. Okay, I create a bar stack chart. We have already seen what is a stack chart in respect of column. We have the same stack chart for a bar chart also, and I use that for creating a table, like for creating a chart like this. Okay, now just follow my steps because it's slightly a mechanical method, you can say, but that's how we do it. First of all, I delete the legend, okay, because this legend is not relevant for me, right? The second thing I do is, this is again just my aesthetic sense, that I don't want the grid lines here, okay, the legend lines here, or whatever you call it, grid lines only, right? Yeah, fine. Now let's just please follow what I'm doing here. What I first do is I select this maximum series, okay, on the chart. I click on one of the series and you see that the entire series gets selected, and I simply delete it by pressing delete button on my keyboard. Fine, so the maximum is gone. So now I only have minimum and the differences. What the second step I do is I select the minimum series, okay, I right click on it, go to format data series and click on no fields. Okay, by clicking on no fields, okay, you will see that, okay, even though the series is there, okay, sorry, okay, you will see that even though the series is there, but it's not visible to the end user. Okay, to an end user it's not visible. Fine. Now I go to the layout and click on the data label and say inside end. Fine, so I have got the data labeled for both the series. right? So now you can understand, you can get a picture of what we are doing here. So we got the minimum value. Okay, for maximum value, all I will have to do is I'll have to, okay, let me first explain you this DCF part. So I click on this DCF series. Okay, and since I want it to be formatted in a better manner so that it looks like DCF, because DCF only has a single value, doesn't, in our case it doesn't have a minimum or maximum value, and generally that will be the case as well. So I just click on it, okay, and I say, okay, or let me use this one. Okay, so I click on it, and then you see that I can modify it as per my requirement. Either I will say DCF, comma, and I leave it as the value. Okay, so you see that I can also further format this. Okay, let me change it to a light fill. Okay, so that it's visible along with the data, even the bar is visible. Fine. So I say DCF 100, this formatting is done. The only thing remaining is to change the value for the maximum value, because the value which you are currently seeing is the difference, but we want the maximum value. So you'll have to do this manually. That is, you'll have to click here, bring it to edit mode, okay, and then link it to the maximum value on your table. So this is for EV by EBITDA, right? And you see that the maximum value is captured. Similarly, you will have to do for each of the parameter. Yes, it's slightly mechanical as I told you in the beginning, but this is how, you know, some of these charts are created. Okay, Excel doesn't have an inbuilt function for them, so this is how we modify and manipulate the data to a requirement. And here you go with your football field. Fine. So this is how a football field is created, right? It's generally useful when you have to represent your data as a minimum and a maximum value. Clear? Okay. Now this is an easy one. So this is called a spider chart. Okay. The places where we use spider chart is generally in a scenario where, you know, the different parameters are rated. Okay, you can use it anywhere, that's not a problem, but that's generally the scenario where we use such kind of spider chart. So this is how we create a spider chart. Again, you select the data. Spider chart is inbuilt in Excel, so need not worry about that. All you have to do is select the area, go to other chart, okay, and you see the radar chart. Okay, so this is what I'm calling a spider chart, and a chart is created. Fine. Now you can play around with this. Let's say you don't want the grid line. So first of all, go and do away with the grid line. Okay, this is your axis. Okay, this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, what you are seeing is your axis. Okay, you can play around with format axis the way you want to. If you want the along with the name, okay, so name of the student, if you also want to see what is this red line, whether it's IQ, EQ or FQ, just I am using this word for financial quotient, that's nothing great. Anyway, so if you want to place this category label also, you now know how to do it. You go to more data label option and you say give me category, sorry, in this case it will be series name, not the category name. Okay, because that's the series which we have, and you click close. Right, so along with the value you also get the series name, right? In the once you have created a series name, you can do away with the legend. Fine. So that's how simple it is to create a spider chart, or what they call it as a radar chart. Fine. Moving on. Okay, now this is again very useful, especially when you are working in the analytics or analysis industry. Okay, so there is something called Pareto analysis. Before I explain you what is this chart, let me tell you what is a Pareto analysis. A Pareto analysis simply says that most of the phenomenon in any of the scenario, okay, it says that 80% of the things which are happening is due to 20% of the variables, right? So this is what a Pareto analysis is. It's also called 80-20 analysis, because he says that 80% of the phenomenon can be explained by just using or understanding 20% of the variables. So let me explain with the data what do I mean by this. Let's say this is a company, okay, which is giving their product wise revenue to you. Okay, so as per Pareto analysis, it says that your 80% of the revenue will come from 20% of your product line. Okay, might not be true in every case, but that's what the analysis is. So let's see how do we create a table to create a Pareto chart. Okay, so in Pareto chart, we need to create first of all a cumulative data. Okay, so I am again what I am doing is, let me again delete this data and create it fresh so that it's clear what we are doing. First of all, I am just copying the data. Okay, then I create cumulative revenue. Okay, so cumulative revenue for first year will be this, from second year it will be previous year plus the current year. Okay, so I have created a cumulative revenue column. Now I create a cumulative revenue in percentage term. Okay, so what is the cumulative revenue as a percentage of the total revenue? So I say cumulative revenue divided by total revenue. The last column or the last row, sorry, of the cumulative table will be definitely your total revenue as well. Right, so now I create a cumulative revenue. Right, so in this case you see that only 3 products, okay, constitutes 80% of your total revenue. Fine. Of course, if this is just a random data created, if I want, I can manipulate to prove that product A only contributes 80%. The focus here is not that. The focus here is to see how to create a Pareto chart. Now it's easy. You know how to do it. All you have to do now is create a double axis chart. Okay. So this is what you need to do. Okay, go to insert, create a column chart first. Okay, select the second series. Okay, change it to secondary axis. Okay, and then change it to only the second series. Go and change it to a line chart. Fine, and you get your Pareto chart. That's how simple and easy it is. Okay, so let's there are 2-3 more types of charts which we will study. So okay, so these are the 3 types of chart further which we are going to study. Again, something which will be very useful and interesting is what we call the waterfall chart. Okay, so let's see how to create a waterfall chart. Again, the key here is to understand the chart is easy. It's just a simple column chart, a column stack chart, but the key to understand here is how to create the data. Okay, so let me first explain you a simple water chart. First let me explain you what is a column chart. Okay, let me hide this data as well. Okay, yeah, so let me first explain you what is a column chart. Fine. So sorry, not a column chart, I mean a waterfall chart. A waterfall chart is nothing but it explains you the difference between 2 data. Okay, so it's generally used when you are representing your financial data. Say you are representing your EBITDA for changes in EBITDA from 2013 to 2014, right? So you want to show what lead to the increase in EBITDA from 500 to 1000. So out of your analysis you have populated this data that 250 is because of increase in gross profit, then your marketing cost changed by 150, that's where it, and then finally your admin cost also increased by 100, so your EBITDA 2014 is 1000, and you want to represent this thing graphically. So let's see how do we do that. Okay, so you will have to visualize this thing, and then it will be helpful for you to create. So you'll have to visualize what does the end data looks like, so that will help you to manipulate and create your data table like that. Okay, so in this case what you will have to do is, before column D, insert another column. Okay, so let's say if this column is not there. Okay, so what I do is I insert another column here. Okay, and let me call it cumulative. Okay, so if I visualize, okay, my chart, the first column, okay, the first column will nothing but it will be a EBITDA 2013 with 500 value. My second column will have to be 500 plus 250, right? It's totally 750, right? The second column will represent 250 over and above 500. So I will have 500 and over that I will have 250, right? Similarly, my next table will have 750. So that's why I'm calling it a cumulative one. So this will have 500 plus 250, right? And I can just copy paste the value. Of course, this is 3 values, so it's easy, but otherwise once you understand this technique, you can apply it blindly henceforth, right? So I've created a cumulative table and I stopped with 900. I don't need it for the last one because it will be just a single column with 1000 as value. And now you are aware how to create a chart like that. You go to a column stack chart. Okay, you can format this data series to be no fill. Fine. And this is a, just do away with the legend. If you want, do away with the grid line as well. Okay. And this is how a waterfall chart looks like. You can of course go and do the data labeling and all the way you want it to be. Fine. If you don't want this data label, remove it. Right. So this explains that how did the EBITDA in 2013 change to EBITDA in 2014 and what are the reasons and what are the components to it. Clear? So that's how a simple waterfall chart is created. Now, what additionally we can do in this waterfall chart is to create a connector, right? You see there was a line, the earlier chart which I had shown you had line which we called connector for each of this chart. Let's see how do we do that. Okay, so again you will have to create certain connector data. So I call it connector. I think I'll have what, let's see how many connector we'll have. 1, 2, 3 and 4, right? So we'll have 4 connector. So let's create 4 connector. Okay, let me call it connector 1, and then I will use the autofill option in Excel. Okay, yeah, so now you can see that we have created the heading for 1, 2, 3, 4 connector. So my first connector, okay, again you will have to visualize it. Okay, it will start at 500 and end at 500, right? So okay, and it will start with the first one itself. So this is how I will create my connector. Okay, so my first connector will start at first 500. Okay, it will start from here, that is 500. Okay, and it will be stacked with this row, right? As I told you that once you create a stack chart, it's stacked row wise. Okay, so don't forget that. So it will stack 500 over 500, and then we will change the second part to the line series. So that's how we will create a connector. Okay, so my second again will be a 500 value. My second connector, okay, it will start at 700. Okay, so this is where I use the formula. Okay, and it will end at 750 also. My third connector will start at 900, this plus this. Okay, and this is where it will end as well. And finally my fourth connector will start at 1000 and will end at 1000 as well, right? Now let's recreate a chart, okay, using all of this value. Okay, again I'll create a column stack chart. Fine. Yeah, it looks strange, but don't worry, we will solve it one by one. Okay, fine. So all of this connector, okay, so these are the stacked ones. Okay, I guess it's okay. First of all, we'll have to do a switch row and column because it's not giving you the data in appropriate manner. So you know that we have the switch row and column. Okay, so now we have EBITDA for 2013, for 2014, along with some weird data in between, which we will now sort. So all the connectors, okay, so when you click on any of this data series, the good part here is that it stacks the data row wise, okay, but each of the series is column wise. That is connector 1 is one data series here, connector 2 is one data series here, and so on and so forth, right? So change each of the connector. Okay, first let's go and change this cumulative value. Let's make it no fill. Okay, let's go and change the format data series and make it a no fill. Okay, guys, this is again very mechanical. It's not a inbuilt function. We are just using some common logic to manipulate the data to our requirement, right? So again, it needs lots of visualization, and once known, you can use it mechanically thereafter. Okay, so all this connector, okay, needs to be changed to a line column. Okay, so you can use any of the line type which you want. So if you want the dotted one, you can choose the dotted one. Why is it giving me such strange answers? Because it's giving you 0. Oh, okay. So shall I change? No, that's not required. Let me find another way to it. I use this one. Okay, so sorry. How we will deal with that? Okay, so this is, or probably I'll have to use, okay, I guess there is no other option, but we'll have to change the data reference. Okay, we will do it, don't worry. So this is where we are creating the data. So if you want to change the this line to a dotted line, all you have to do is select this dotted line. Why is it not getting selected? Okay, right click, okay, and change the line style. Okay, change the line style to a dotted one. Okay, fine. So you see now we get it as a connector. Similarly, so this is my second connector. First let me change the value. Okay, and then I will, as it change the references I've had. Did I make some mistake here? Okay, yeah, sorry. Okay, so let me now change it to line chart. Okay, fine. No, there is some problem somewhere. Okay, so okay, let's spend a minute on this and see if there's a better way to do it. Right. Okay, so now it's not a problem. I guess I was making that mistake there. Okay, so I'm using the second reference, which is your I'm using this line chart, line with markers. Okay, so that is not giving me a problem. Similarly, I will change the third one. Okay, I don't think now I need to change the data. Yes, right. So this is where, so you don't need to change the data reference. You can still keep the entire data, but rather than using the straight line, use the second one, that is the line with the marker. And you see that we have our waterfall chart now with the connector. You can of course go and format the connector the way you want to, right? You right click and you format the line style to a different dash type. Okay, and you can play around with that. Fine. So this is how you create a waterfall chart and a waterfall chart with a connector. And as you see that more important than creating a chart, what's important is how do we visualize it and create a data that suits our requirement, right? So let me just place it here. So we have two types of waterfall chart here. I don't know, somehow maybe the first place where I worked has taught me not to keep the grid lines, so I always remove it. Anyway, let's talk about a Gantt chart now. Again, it's an easy one. Just one small tweak which we will do. A Gantt chart is nothing but a chart which is more used by people involved in the project management and all, right? So it creates a chart which shows that on what date which project activity or which project will be going on. It's a simple chart. Again, you select the data. Okay, you go and click on a stack bar chart. Okay, now the only click here is we see that the data is right now in reverse order. So what you have to do is click on format axis. Okay, and say reverse order. Okay, we had this category, right? Where is it? Category in reverse order, and I close it, right? So now I have the category in reverse order. I'd go and delete this data. No, yes, I think deleting it will help. Okay, so I just delete. No, deleting it will not help. What we'll have to do is we will have to format data series and change it to no fill. Okay, fine. Now once I do no fill, you see that there is still a difference between this chart and this chart, right? If I want it exactly to be like that, all I have to do now is go and change the minimum value in the format axis to let's say 14 December. Right now it's 2 December, 2nd December, sorry. So you see that as we all know, right, a date is represented in an Excel as a series number. So all you have to do is change this 75 to 85. So 85 means 14th of December. Sorry, we have added 10, so it will change 2 plus 10, that is 12th. So you can still make it 12th December by adding 2 more. Okay, so instead of 85, make it 87, and it will start with 14th December. You can also choose the major and the minor unit, right? You can also select the maximum which you want, right? So this is how you create a Gantt chart. So next time you are presenting a schedule or a timetable to your boss, make sure you also add the Gantt chart. It will be quite impressive for him. Okay guys, so we are coming to the last leg of this charting class, and I want to show you how to create a XY scatter chart. Okay, so first of all, the data is again simple. We have the student name, we have his IQ and EQ. So I want to create a scatter chart, that is IQ on the x-axis, EQ on the y-axis, and show that where the student, a particular student lies. So student C, okay, this is the name of the student. His IQ is 2 while his IQ is 1 while his EQ is 2, and so on and so forth. Right, this is just an example. Of course, you know how to use the scatter chart. So let me show you how to use a scatter chart. First of all, just select only this 2 column, because here as you can see, right, EQ is your y-axis, IQ is your x-axis, right? So this is not required anywhere right now. Again, you go to insert, you have a scatter chart already available, you click on this. Okay, so you see that right now the chart is representing the data as you require, but it's not giving you the name category. Okay, now again you can go to data table and click on, I guess, series name. No, series name will not help you. X value will also not help you. I know a different way to do it, but someone told me in 2010 Excel has it gives you the option to plot the data label as well. Let me just see if there is something like this available. Format chart area, no, that will not help. Let me see if it works on the plot area. So legend will not help. Axis title again will not help. Anyway guys, see, I am not very sure if they have included this feature in 2010 or not, but how do we do in 2007? At least till 2007 how we used to do it is, we basically need an add-in here. The add-in is named XY scatter chart, so it's freely available. It's not a paid add-in, but it's a free add-in which is available on the Google. So all you have to do is go and download that add-in. I'll show you how does the add-in work. Okay, so an add-in is nothing but it looks like an Excel file. So the moment you open the XY scatter chart add-in, okay, you see that along with all the inbuilt tabs which we have, we see another tab called XY chart label. You go to XY chart label, click on add label, okay, and give it the range, okay, the range of the label, and you click OK. The moment you do that, you see that the name of the student has come as a category in this chart. Right, so that's a simple thing. All you have to do is go and download this add-in, which is freely available on Google, and just click on it. So now this will be coming as a tab option, and you can include the series name also. Right, that's how you create a scatter chart in Excel. Fine. So that's all we have for the charting class. I hope you enjoyed the class like all other classes. Thank you for your time and patience. Have a good day. Bye bye.